The COVID-19 pandemic has made us realize the importance of three things: the support of family and friends, the role of technology in our lives, and the importance of one's health. And while eating right, exercising regularly, and sleeping well are important, the fourth aspect of managing one's health is getting the right health insurance. The health insurance sector in India has grown rapidly in the last year, briefly overtaking the premium collected by motor insurance in the April to September period of 2020, a phenomenon that has never happened before. While motor insurance premium has been higher than health insurance premium for the full year of FY 2021, there's no ignoring the rapid growth of retail health insurance. But the growth has not been even across general insurers. Some have registered negative growth, while an insurer like Future Generali India Insurance has seen retail health sales grow by 87.4% for FY 2020-2021. Future Generali India Insurance is the general insurance arm of the JV between the Future Group, the game changers in retail trade in India, and Generali, a 190 years old global insurance group. Future Generali India Insurance was incorporated in September 2007 to be a lifetime partner for their customers by combining expertise with a human touch and by being a brand that leads with innovation, simplicity, and empathy. Let's have a quick look at their robust success so far. Future Generali India Insurance has recorded consistent top-line growth of more than 23% CAGR since FY 10-11 and has gained a market share of 3.9% in FY 21. They are on the list of top 10 private general insurers and consistently reported profits in the last few years. With an unwavering focus on customer service and satisfaction, Future Generali India Insurance has consistently been a best-in-class performer in NPS scores. Not only this, Future Generali India Insurance has been certified as a great place to work for the second consecutive year, along with winning many awards in the BFSI space across functions like marketing, brand, and customer service. Today on this special episode of the Economic Times Brand Chronicle, I'll be finding out more about the general insurance industry and specifically about Future Generali General Insurance in my conversation with the MD and CEO of the company, Anup Rao. With a rich experience of almost 2 decades in the insurance industry, Anup Rao is well placed to lead Future Generali India Insurance into its next growth phase. An industry veteran, he has led many other large insurance companies in India, and on the show today, he shares his learnings from the pandemic, his future plans for the organization, and why employees are keen on working with Future Generali. Taking note of the work done by Anup Rao, the Economic Times Most Promising Business Leaders of Asia 2020-2021 has awarded him as the Business Leader of the Year. Mr. Rao, the pandemic has obviously had an impact all across. So what was the impact on Future Generali General Insurance? What was like the biggest challenge that the company faced?
Well, it's had an impact at two levels. One is obviously the fact that, you kind of look at your personal priorities and then, recalibrate them, because the pandemic obviously has told you what things are important, what are tangible, what are intangible, so on and so forth. But I think fundamentally organization design is inefficient. I mean, people stay 2 hours away from work, they spend a lot of time commuting, they spend a lot of times in meetings, so on and so forth. But what the pandemic really did was to take away and separate the non-essential from the essential in an organization. And let me explain that. A lot of organizational functioning is more about form over substance. What the pandemic has done is brought the focus back on the substance of it.
What was the biggest challenge and how did you overcome that?
Well, I think one is accepting the fact that the pandemic was going to be here for a long, long time. I mean, we called that in the month of February. And we actually shut our organization down much before the government mandated lockdown, because we called that it would be a long haul. And we moved people's systems and computers home. We created a cadence wherein people could get reviewed remotely, so on and so forth. We were prepared, and compared to other companies, we are far ahead of the curve. So I think the hard part really was to tell people that, look, this is not going to be a breeze. It's going to take longer than we think.
Yeah.
And that time we said that we called it that it'll at least be 6 to 9 months before things get back to normal. Now, of course, it's been 18 months.
That comes to the second part, contingency plans. Obviously, companies have contingency plans, but nobody had a contingency plan for this. Your experience in this, how did you get that going?
So we invoked something called Business Contingency Plan, BCP as we call it, about a good 2 weeks before the government mandated lockdown. But again, the issue really was that, convincing people that, that it was the right thing to do. all of us have BCP. BCP in fact was easy to trigger in this case because all it meant was making sure that people don't come to office, people go home.
Yeah.
Telling the IT teams that make sure that people have access to tools and resources to be able to continue to operate efficiently. So there were two things. Fundamentally, people believed this would not go on for a long time. Secondly, people believed that the only way to work was to actually, travel into office every single morning and get out in the evening. So we had to challenge these two things. I don't think from a standpoint of invoking BCP, there was really a problem. The problem was getting employees to internalize the reality or the potential reality as we saw at that time, which turned out to be right.
So obviously employees play a really important part in any organization. The other important part is customers. And for a general insurance company like yours, there is so much of direct interaction, customer to agents, customer to office. And that obviously went out of the window with the pandemic. How was it for the company to interact with customers, to reassure them especially? That's really the important part.
So we did communicate a lot with the customers and told them that pandemic or no pandemic, we will honor their claims quickly, expeditiously. I think in some sense, the pandemic also forced a lot of companies, including us, to actually re-look at the processes and reorient ourselves to cut down a lot of unnecessary requirements. So in some sense, work from home actually worked in the customer's favor because we had to delegate a lot more autonomy to the people in the front. So it actually had a positive impact from a customer's TAT perspective.
We always thought that adoption of digital technologies by GI intermediaries would be much difficult. However, with the pandemic setting in, business had to continue. So there were various steps we took at Future Generali to ensure that business continued. One was immediately shifting all the employees home so that they could start working from home. In many of the cases, not only those employees having laptops, but also those having desktops were actually shifted home. The call center agents were shifted home and a new software was brought in for them so that they could take calls from home. We started adopting technology while assessing claims. We made it much simpler for insured persons to purchase policy by introducing something like e-proposal forms which were authenticated by OTPs. We used eye-based technology for assessment of motor claims.
See, we realized the effect of pandemic in as early as March 2020 and we immediately gathered around along with our business processing continuity team and organized ourselves to find ways to service the internal and as well as the external customers in the same manner what we have been doing pre-pandemic days. We also organized ourselves to service them whenever any claims are there, to facilitate them to send the scanned documents, etc., and the videos of the photographs of the vehicle so that the service can be effectively done.
In FGII, internal audit played a key role in response to the COVID crisis, and we quickly adapted to the new ways of working since our systems were already in place. Audit plan was regularly reviewed with the key stakeholders to understand the new or elevated risk and assess how best to support them.
Welcome back. You're watching the special episode featuring Future Generali India Insurance. Mr. Rao, I want to talk to you about some numbers now. So, Future Generali General Insurance has shown robust growth of 17% year on year in the calendar year 2020, where the industry grew only about 2.3%. And then when we talk about FY 2021, you grew 12.2% versus 6.4% for the industry. So just wanted your thoughts that under your leadership, how has the company shown so much growth and increased profitability? Your thoughts on this?
We told people that this is not something just going to go in a couple of weeks. I mean, the lockdown might be announced for 3 weeks by the government, but it's unlikely we would find a solution in those 3 weeks. So we called it to be a long haul. So I think people somehow internalized that this was the way that people would work for a long time. Secondly, our priority was to keep people physically safe and psychologically secure. So which meant that we told people we don't want them coming into office, take unnecessary risks. There are things which doesn't require the physical presence. Things can be done remotely as effectively as they were done in the past. and also that psychologically that their jobs are secure. They will get their increments, they will get their bonuses. So I think the people were able to give their best every single day. I think we recognize the fact that people needed a break, people needed to be treated with empathy and gently, and it really goes to the heart of our philosophy. Our philosophy is that forget everything else, but then we are an employee first organization. We exist because we want to do good for our employees. And I believe everything else will fall in place. In case you're an employee first organization, treat employees fairly, then they will in turn treat their other stakeholders the same way.
When you talk about the industry, some industry veterans are saying that health is the new motor because this last 18 months has seen health insurance cover increase a lot. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Do you think this is just a passing thing, or is this like here to stay? Is health the new motor?
Well, I think health is a greater involvement product than motor. It always has been. Motor has been a lazier and an easier product. And let me explain what I mean by that. I mean, customers need to buy motor because it's mandated by law. And you go to a customer and say that, you need a motor product. He says, yes, I need to buy it. But I mean, it just stops there. Health, I think, is a more involved product, but it's equally a harder sale because whatever is not mandatory does not lend itself to the same ease of selling. But I think what's happened in the pandemic is that people have realized that they need health insurance. I mean, obviously it's been a tragedy over the last year and a half. We have seen our near and dear ones fall ill. Some of them are no longer with us, so on and so forth. So I think this impact will stay. I think we saw that on the life insurance side and term, it didn't pick up for a long time and then suddenly became popular. I think things move slowly and then suddenly very rapidly. I think we're in the phase wherein the rate of change will accelerate. I'm fond of quoting Bill Gates, who said that, we overestimate what we can do in 5 years, but underestimate what we can do in 20. So I think we have probably overestimated what will happen in the immediate 1 or 2 years, but I think in the 5-10 years, you will see health as significantly larger and maybe the new motor, as you put it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so much required. It's so essential now. We've realized the importance of it. Another thing that's happened during this pandemic is we've realized the importance of technology and how it's helped in all aspects of our lives. When running an organization and here at Future Generali General Insurance, how have you used technology to adapt the company so that you're able to work better with employees as well as customers, to reach out better, to provide better services, products? How's the role of technology come in?
So I have a slightly different view here. I think technology has always existed. I mean, it's existed in the recent past to enable interaction with the customer, with the distributors, in the entire ecosystem. I think adoption has been a challenge, and what the pandemic has done is accelerated that adoption. So our communication and focus really has been encouraging people to adopt technology and new ways of working. I think the medium of interaction is through technology, through WhatsApp, through any other digital media. But I wouldn't say that technology has rapidly changed. I mean, Zoom did exist, Skype did exist, the adoption has dramatically changed.
Mr. Rao, one thing that I would like to talk to you about is the focus of Future Generali General Insurance on the youth. And by youth, what I'm getting to is youth as consumers. So you're actively reaching out to youth to educate them, make them aware about the importance of health insurance cover and adequate health insurance cover. Wanting to get thoughts on that, what's the thought process behind doing that?
Well, I think anything you get into early in life, the better it is for the customer. I mean, I think unfortunately in this country, you wait till you're, you have a pre-existing condition, or you have an illness, or you see some tragedy around you to go and buy a term cover or a health insurance cover. I think we wanted to make sure that people, get in early and then not wait for that moment when it's all actually much harder for somebody to get the kind of cover he or she might want. So that was really the idea fundamentally, to shift the purchase decision by a few decades.
Mr. Rao, I want to talk to you about this very special campaign of yours, Health Inside Out. Tell me about the thought process behind that campaign and why the focus on mental health?
Well, I mean, the reality is that there are mental health issues also in this country. The reality is that we don't recognize it. You're supposed to be tough enough to deal with it yourself. You're not supposed to talk about it. and it takes its toll. And I don't think culturally, as a country, we do enough to have a conversation around it or address it or even seek help. And we really thought that it's about time that we start getting those conversations growing. And and thanks to a lot of celebrities, a lot of sports people, a lot of Bollywood celebrities, a lot of them went out and spoke about it, came on our show, and hopefully will encourage other people to actually go out there and then seek guidance, seek help. That was the idea.
Please tell me, how do I complain to the HR? I'm fed up. I am. I was promised a cushy job, but this is fully opposite. Can I at least please get a transfer?
Sadness, insomnia, constant crying could be signs of mental illness. Don't ignore them. Get Future Generali Health Total Policy, which also covers mental health, so you stay healthy inside out.
The WHO estimates that 1 in every 5 Indians suffer from some kind of mental health issue today. That's 20% of India. But in spite of these staggering statistics, mental illness remains a taboo subject where very few people acknowledge it, yet fewer address it. And unfortunately, those who do address it don't get the support from their families and friends. As a brand that leads with innovation, empathy, and human touch, Future Generali took it upon itself to create awareness on this critical matter and to tell people that help is available, whether it is medical or financial.
What about our mental health? India doesn't think of it as being part of overall health. That's why our mental health was deteriorating. No one was talking about it. So we did.
This was promoted with the help of fitness influencers such as Mandira Bedi, Beer Biceps, Yasmin Karachiwala, who helped us spread our message.
We started by creating the first of its kind test that could provide a holistic score.
More than 3 lakh people came to take the total health score, which was available on our website and on our mobile app, telling us that India is now ready to have a conversation on mental health. For us, this was just the start of a movement to get Indians to take their mental health seriously.
Welcome back. You're watching the special episode featuring Future Generali India Insurance. Now, Mr. Rao, I know you have an enviable collection of books, almost like 4,000 of them. It's going to be tough, but this next question is about which is your favorite one and why?
Well, there are actually 2. I think the Mahabharata has been my favorite. I mean, it's about Purushartha or the goals of life, which are, as we all know, I mean, there is Dharma, there is Artha, there is Kama, there's Moksha, finally. So I think it's a fascinating book. And the books boast that what's found here will be found outside. What is not found here will not be found outside. I think that boast is true. It's a brilliant piece of work. The other is a more modern classic. It's 1984 by George Orwell. That's a book I'm a borderline libertarian, so that book inspired me and scared me in equal measure.
Yeah, both obviously very important works of literature. And what is your leadership mantra? How do you lead your organization?
Well, I mean, I'm a libertarian, like I mentioned. My leadership mantra is leave people alone. Tell them what to do, tell them what they expect, and for God's sake, leave them alone so that they can focus on getting things done. That's all I do. I don't believe in over-managing people. I look at getting an understanding of what we could achieve, how to go about it, and let people do their best.
So you're a strong believer of the power of delegating things to people, letting them learn, manage.
Yeah, I guess if you trust enough to give them the job, I think you trust them enough to do the job as well. So
very important,
absolutely.
Very important there. The pandemic has taught everybody something. So what is your learning from the pandemic, both personally as well as professionally?
Well, at a personal level, obviously, it's been about taking an inventory in everyone's life about what's important, what's not important, what are things which really matter, health, relationships, quality of relationships. I think fundamentally I do believe that two things in life matter for a fulfilled life. I think quality of work and quality of relationships. And I think the pandemic has only reinforced that for me.
At Future Generali General Insurance, what are some steps that you've taken to kind of boost the morale of employees and also reduce their stress?
So I think we did a lot of things around, having game nights, fun nights, yoga sessions. People had access to counselors, whether they could reach out to a counselor, a helpline, seek guidance on a one-to-one basis anonymously.
Yes.
So the company would have no visibility about the conversation, would not know, unless of course, at some stage we had to intervene in helping the employee. We also had to secure people's jobs, and we didn't lay a single person off, be it a temporary staff, be it a CXO, across the range, be it a security guard, be it a pantry boy, or be it somebody who was a CXO. And I think one of the things we have learned now is to not to take things for granted. Koi ghar pe baitha hua or somebody is at home that he's accessible and available 24 hours. We don't take the time for granted. We enforce breaks.
Yeah.
We don't call people after a certain hour in the day. So we have managed to make sure that we give people personal space. Second thing, especially at entry levels, people don't have houses which can support work from home.
Yes.
Right? So our pivot has been away from work from home to work from anywhere. So people have an opportunity to come over to office, but the idea is to give people space in case they find it difficult to work out of home. So the priority is really to people who are more junior in giving them access to greater organizational resources, especially physical infrastructure.
Mr. Rao, we'll take a pause from you and let's go over and hear from some of the employees of some of the people-centric things, the initiatives taken by Future Generali General Insurance.
So Future Generali has given me a lot of opportunities while working for this company for over 10 years now.
This company has a rich work culture which throws immense opportunities and challenges, and if you are ready to take them head on, then we have an excellent ecosystem that in true sense offers an inclusive environment that promotes creativity, diversity and inclusion.
There have been numerous training opportunities which came my way over the last 10 years. Notably the Six Sigma training wherein international participants were also present. Especially during the past 18 months, during the pandemic period, the level of care that company has shown towards our employees has been truly commendable. So I would say that yes, Future Generali is indeed a great place to work.
And I can proudly say that work-life balance is great, as I'm a mother of a 4-year-old daughter and everything has worked so well.
I'm proud to state that FG is a people-centric organization. I say this as every employee has a sense of pride to be associated with the company due to its employee-friendly policies and processes. There is an open and transparent environment that encourages feedback for improvement at every level. It may be because of this, we have over 30% of our employees who have spent more than 5 years in the organization and grown with it. There is a culture of meritocracy and camaraderie leading to a unique and successful way the company has performed over the years. The company has had an enabling and caring policies and practices that was very visible and effective during the COVID times, where we supported our employees to work at home and be comfortable with the change in working conditions.
Mr. Rao, let's talk about the future plans for Future Generali General Insurance. What's the way ahead for this financial year and maybe the next 5 years?
Well, I mean, like I had mentioned earlier, we are unabashedly an employee-first organization. We want to exist for the purpose of helping employees fulfill their professional and personal dreams and goals. And in case we succeed there, we would have succeeded as an organization. And really want to be known as a place where, employees can give their best every day at work, give their best every day to their personal goals and ambitions, their hobbies, their families, so on and so forth. And that would hopefully lead to great things in terms of disruptive products, innovation, doing market leading practices, so on and so forth.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you all the very best for you and the organization for the way ahead. And it's been an absolute pleasure interacting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sumit. Thanks. Thank you so much.
That's all on this special episode of the Economic Times Brand Chronicle, where I was in conversation with the MD and CEO of Future Generali General Insurance, Anup, and he spoke to us about what makes the company tick, his leadership mantra, and the way ahead for the organization. Thank you so much for watching.